Okay, once you've completed your lessons and starters, you're ready to create a new design. You are never going to design anything within the lesson or starters construct. You are going to click the Create New Design button. So once you've done this, it will open up a new design. If you want to go back to that design because you didn't have time to finish it, you click on that design and then choose Tinker This. That just means you want to work on it again. This will open up into the design platform. Notice they give you a blue work plane to start with. Anything you can think of this blue work plane as like the tabletop, okay, or the glass platform in the printer. So your shapes have to be on the work plane. So your first assignment requires you to create an object within a certain size with your name on it. So you click and grab a basic shape, drop it onto the work plane, and then use your keyboard shortcuts to make sure that you can pivot around and see it is located on your work plane. Now, I like to go down to the snap grid here and change it to 0.1 millimeters because that's going to allow you to have the most movement when you are moving an object. It'll flow more freely. Watch what happens if I go back to the default 1 millimeter. It's going to start jumping, and it's harder to get it to be more precise. So you want 0.1 millimeters. Get your objects positioned the way you want. Remember, these measurements are in millimeters, okay? So the parameters are 60 by 60 by 55. You can click in there to change your sizing. This is your height. So this is the maximum dimensions that your object can be. You can make it smaller, but you cannot make it bigger. Make sure you change the name of your project with your first name here in the top, just by clicking and typing in your name. I only need your first name. If there are two of you in the room, then your first name, last initial. You can use all kinds of basic shapes. There's all different creatures and characters, but some of them are not what we call scalable, meaning you can't make it fit. It won't look right because you can't change the size of the shape. Now, remember I said be very careful and make sure that you're using the work planes. In order to put an object on this piece, I need to use another work plane. So up here, you click the work plane tool and you put it on the surface that you want to add something to. So for example, if I want to put it on the top of my square, I click and now another color work plane shows up. And if you tilt it, you can see there's the blue work plane underneath and then the work plane on top of your three-dimensional object. That's where you would go in, grab your text, drag and drop it, and notice it overhangs. So you want to make sure your text fits, and you can enter your text here on the side. And obviously I can change the font to different fonts if I want. I can change the height, the bevel. You can see how it changes the look of the font. And I can customize the font a little bit. I also want to make sure that I'm scaling it properly so that it fits on my three-dimensional object. Right? I don't want it off of my object. That's not going to make any sense. But I also want to make sure that it is attached to my object. What I do is I take this triangle here up at the top and I kind of sink it in a couple millimeters. You can actually type it in. -2. There we go. And that way I know that it is part of my object I did before, and it's not going anywhere. Use what you've learned in your other lessons about centering, about finding, like, I don't think I want it that tall. I'm going to make it shorter. I want it closer to the cube. It looks silly being that tall. So make sure that you are using the different lessons that you've learned. When you want to go back to any other work plane surface, you simply click the work plane tool again. And then because I want it on the blue work plane, I'm not going to put it on my object. I'm going to put it on the blue work plane. And there it is. I'm back looking like it was before. Everything is connected. And we're all good. When you have finished designing your three-dimensional object, you will sign up for a time to meet with me, and then I will come over and download your project and begin printing them out. If you have any questions, please let me know. I will be happy to help. Happy tinkering.